And good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. This is Tony T coming to you from a little briskly Monday morning beach that I actually have all to myself. I just noticed it. I'll give it a couple of minutes for you to join me. It's a Monday morning. I'm not sure exactly how many folks might join us, but we're going to give them an opportunity anyway. And good morning, Christina. Glad you can join me this morning. I have the beach to myself here. I'm on Aliso Beach here in Laguna. You can see here, all to myself, like literally nobody here. Like yesterday, this thing was packed, I'm sure. But this morning, I have it all to my little lonesome, which is kind of cool. So we'll give it another moment or so for other people to join us. Jason, glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. This morning, I'm going to talk about picking the right path. I probably could have even said, picking the right path for ultimate possibilities, right? As I'm sitting here on the beach, taking it in this morning. I've been here for about, maybe an hour or so. And I'll tell you what prompted this was, I don't know if you can see here, see these little paths that are going through here? It really dawned on me that there are many paths. And I realized, even myself, when I've come to certain forks in the road, I feel, where I've had to make decisions, there's a lot of anxiety that would come up for me because I wanted to make sure that I made the right decision. If you've ever felt like that, share with people where you just want to make sure you're making the right decision and you're just not really sure, and you feel like you might be making the wrong decision, and that's where the anxiety comes from, because probably there's some sort of certainty that you and I are seeking. I don't know about you, but I've certainly experienced that. And as I'm dangerously close to the tide coming up here, by the way, I've been dancing with it all this morning, which is also another reason why I did this video, because there's so many paths that you and I can choose in our life. All kinds. It could be career, it could be financial, it could be friendships, it could be family. It could be our, even our faith. So many choices to pick from, so many paths, so to speak. And it's funny because the right path is the one that you choose and you commit to, right? At least that's been true for me. And, have some of those choices that I've made not necessarily been the best choices? I don't know. I'm probably, there's times when I'm like, I have those oh shit moments and, ask myself, why did I choose this? And I know why questions are not very helpful in those particular moments. They actually just invite me back into my old BS thought process. And ultimately, I do realize that the path that I choose is the path of possibilities, and it's committing to that path. And what I've discovered is that, good morning, Joanne. Back from your vacation, I bet. What I've found is, what is the right path of possibilities? It's the one that you pick and commit to. And what I've discovered is, even in those decisions where I've, developed some really dark moments in my life, some people that know the depth of my story know that it gets pretty dark. I haven't really talked about it, very much here. Matter of fact, I've never talked about it publicly. Yeah, glad you're back, Joanne. And I will, though. But the thing is that I've discovered is that I have this capability to dance in the darkness of those past stories. And that's where there's been a certain level of competence and gift that has come. Speaking of D's, good morning, Diana. Hey, good to see you. Welcome. I was just sharing with everybody, I have the beach to myself this morning, like literally as far as the eye can see that way, and open as far as the eye can see that way. I am out here by my lonesome. I'm not lonely or anything. Actually, I just didn't even plan on doing a Facebook Live here. My good friend Katerina yesterday she did a Facebook Live, and she, if you're not following her, check her out, Katerina Satori. She was talking about, when she does these Facebook Lives, she has sometimes no idea what's going to come out, and I'm pretty much the same way. There were some things that really inspired this particular Facebook Live. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of like one of my morning rituals. As long as it's not too terribly freezing, I'm out here. This morning, I think it's probably in the 50s, but with the sun, kind of makes it warmer. So thank you. I'm glad that you see me, and I like seeing you on the beach too as well. But having this innate ability to dance in the dark from my past choices, I realize that those dark moments give me abilities to stand in that darkness and to realize that they don't determine my present and future possibilities, right? And that's the beauty, of making decisions and committing to them, and so which one is the right path in life? It's the one that you choose. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Good morning, Mike. Welcome, buddy. I do. Yeah, I got all that crazy light back there, don't I? Yeah, it's pretty awesome. The thing that I've discovered too is realizing that, and you've probably heard this saying before, is you make decisions. You don't make wrong decisions. You just make decisions and you make them right. Once you've committed to them, there's a certain point of where you just open your heart and relax into those momentous moments. And my one mentor would say is just don't take your thought very seriously around a lot of things that may come up. And that's something that when you choose a path, maybe a path of entrepreneurship. It maybe, I was talking with a friend yesterday about the path of being a mother, and all of the moments that come along with that decision. And it's kind of like, once you make those decisions and you're impregnated with possibility, it's kind of like my friend who's pregnant. You can't be half pregnant in life. You either are or you aren't, right? So it's almost like when you commit to these paths in life, you just commit to it. My friend yesterday asked a really, really important question, and it really set with me really heavy. It's like, what would your life look like if you just honored your gifts? And whatever that path might look like is what the path might look like, right? And, it really, really struck me deeply, because of the gifts that I, quote unquote, have come from my dancing in the darkness. It comes from those moments that I have, made decisions and felt like maybe they weren't right, but I felt stuck in them. Because depression is feeling as if you're forced to live with something you don't want. My friend also says the definition of depression is inspiration that's being depressed, right? So ultimately, choosing the path that you might have and committing to it, for me, it's a path of speaking into this type of work and speaking into this type of wisdom. And the work does come from the wisdom. It doesn't come from reading a book necessarily and not really actually living those wisdoms. That's something that, certainly someone can teach. I just don't know that somebody's capable of educating people on that. I was just recently asked to do a Facebook Live around, some financial stuff, and I, had shared some public information about that and on a post, and, I felt like I was knowledgeable enough, but then I was asked to be interviewed and to maybe teach on the subject, and I just felt like, there wasn't enough competence there on my part, and I told them that. And so, although knowledgeable and I might be able to teach, educate is a whole other different story. Because teaching is really about imparting knowledge. Education is about drawing the very best out of people. And I think it really, really helps when you can educate other people, meaning draw the very best out of them, when you can draw from your own deep well of experience. And that's where choosing paths and committing to paths, no matter how deep and dark and depressing maybe they might have been sometimes, I can tell you for me, like, I have a deep well of wisdom to draw on from those moments, and to support people and to educate them in, moving through those moments and creating more momentum in their lives. You may say, well, Antoine, that sounds like you're a life coach or something, and it's not, right? Working with really high-level entrepreneurs, digital entrepreneurs like I have been over the past going on 8 or 10 years. And actually, even working with life coaches in getting their products and services out in the marketplace, I can't tell you how many of them that I've ended up actually coaching on a personal level, just because, building a business is like the ultimate personal development program. Matter of fact, I think when people realize they're going to start a business, either it's a coaching business or some sort of online information product business, like, they don't realize the shit they're stepping into because it's going to demand that you confront all of the conflicts that you have that might be going on within you and all the constraints, because they end up presenting themselves, and your life demonstrates it and you can't hide from it. Same thing is true in relationships. When you step into an intimate relationship, if it's the right one, it's going to draw out all of the conflicts, all of the constraints, all of the aspects of yourself that are there to be revealed. And you just don't get that level of wisdom not dancing in that darkness at times. And that's why, when you've picked the paths that you have and that you've got the possibilities in the present and in the future, they're only there because you committed to that process. And sometimes you may not have even been aware of it. I can tell you in my early 20s, it was probably some rough times as an adult, because I was an adult. I am adult still, but was definitely then. And I can tell you that the level of wisdom that I can look back on now that I have from those moments is so important and so key. And I guarantee you there's probably so many possibilities that are within you right now from the paths that you have chosen. I'm always probably an eternal optimist, almost to a fault to some degree, but I'm also very, very mindful to realize that there are moments that I can balance out and realize what the reality of situations are and have been, kind of dancing both in the right and the left hemispheres of the brain, and and just really realizing that there's nothing that you haven't gone through that can't serve you in the present with future possibilities, as well as the people that you choose to serve in your life. Whether it's you don't have to be an entrepreneur. Certainly, it's a lot of my market who I work with on a daily basis. But if you really can take and apply, these philosophies, these even methods, like I talked about yesterday, the mirror method. Just being able to see the reflection of everybody in your world, and they're reflecting back to you both, the positive and the pissiness, right? You can't see in other people what you can't see in yourself. And so if somebody, is sharing with you something that you absolutely put them on a pedestal about, then you're just seeing your own stuff. And if you see someone that you're putting in a pit and that you're judging, well, guess what? You're just judging yourself. They're reflecting and mirroring back to you your very own stuff. And this is just one of the methods that I've discovered, and the many paths that I've chosen. And if you're just kind of joining me here, this is what really kind of like triggered this Facebook Live, was see these paths, like these footprints that are leading into the distance there. There's so many paths. Which one is the right one? It's the one that you choose, right? It's the one that you don't pontificate about. It's the one that you just lean into. And I think that if you and I were to, sit down and take an inventory of our past paths and where they've led us to the present, start to really look for all the gifts that we have accrued and acquired in that process, it gets inspiring, and it just becomes somewhat of a present moment beauty. I've always said that it's it can be messy being beautifully human, and really just owning all of both sides of the equation. Because I can tell you, there are times when I am on top of the world, and there are times that I am in the deepest pits. And even today, I go through those, and I think it's very, very human to have those experiences, but also to discern
as my friend Katarina would say, those discerning moments, and being able to discern those times of realizing when you're in that void, when you're in that space, when you're in that area, and just being present with it and being okay with it. Because at 20, I can tell you, almost dying a couple times of drugs, almost committing suicide, I didn't see that. I felt like I was trapped with something that I didn't want. And I didn't realize that was just a moment of a void that I was making my way through. So as you are on your path today, my friend, I am here on mine. We finally have a few people, 1 or 2 here. They're on the beach now with me. With that, I hope that if this Monday brought you momentum, or if it maybe brought you, some moroseness, some, not really looking forward to the week, I would pray for you and send to you that this path is right where you're at in this present moment. Possibilities are just abound, and leaning into whatever gifts that you can acknowledge that you have, I think would be brilliant and really, really serve you and the world and the people that you decide to share it with. Both, I don't care if it's just your little, your friends network, or your family, or if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to share shit with the world, like I kind of am, right? And a lot of other people are. Then it's brilliant, and it serves you, and it serves them, and it serves ourselves. So with that, we'll get back to my Monday morning meditation here on the beach, and I wish you the very best, and I'll probably see you in another video real soon. Hope you have a great week. Bye.